Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we're playing Depths, but it's not Turbo Depths, it's kind of like a slightly slower mid-rangey build. This list comes from Pastrata, who is a long-time fan of the channel and Dark Depths enthusiast like myself. So we have Vampire Hexmage and Thespian stage alongside our Dark Depths to make our 2020, which is the main way we're trying to win the game here. We've got tutors in the form of crop rotation, only one Sylvan Scrying, but 4 Elvish Reclaimer, so we can try and leverage this over multiple turns to get bits and pieces out of it. We've got Once Upon a Time and Sylvan Library to sort of smooth our draws out. We've got some protection in the form of Pithing Needle and some hand disruption, Thoughtseize Inquisition. We have 3 Legolas quick reflexes. Because we're trying to play a slower game, we're going to have more mana, so we're going to be able to leverage a card like this, which is a more effective piece of protection than Not of This World, but it does come at the cost of additional mana. But like I said, we're playing a slower game with more mana. And the only fast mana we have in the deck is 3 Mox Diamonds. A bunch of special tools in the land. We have a Surveil Land, which is pretty nice here. We've got a couple of Yavimaya alongside 3 Urborgs. We've got Talon Gates, a Sejiri Steppe, a Ghost Quarter, a Boseiju, a Bojuka Bog, and then there's Echoing Deeps, which can become a copy of one of those previous lands. So we have effectively 2 Bojuka Bogs loaded up in our deck. That is basically the main deck. Sideboard-wise, we've got some Graveyard Disruption in the form of Grafdigger's Cage and Endurance. We've got ourselves some Force of Vigor to blow up some problem permanents, same with Abrupt Decay. And we just got like a little pivot plan here. So we can go into Opposition Agent, Barrowgoyf, and Endurance and have like a little mid-rangey plan going, as well as just using these to disrupt certain decks that are pretty good. For example, Doomsday is a deck that is pretty good against us, so having an Opposition Agent can really ruin their day. A little bit more protection against the white decks, and then some more disruption via a Disruptor Flute. So yeah, I'm excited to try this one. It's a little bit different to Turbo Depths. So the lines are going to be a little bit different. It's going to be slower, a sort of more relaxed approach to the game. But we still have a relatively small amount of like interaction for our opponent's things. So, you know, we can phase stuff out and whatever, discard stuff, quick reflexes, some bits and pieces here and there. But we're not playing like a bevy of removal like a full-on lands deck. We're sort of somewhere in the middle where we're trying to leverage like mana base a little bit like a green-white depths deck, but we're in black. So I'm excited to see how it fares. Alright, please remember to like and subscribe. It's my birthday in April, and I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers before my birthday. So if you are watching this and you haven't subscribed, why not give me a subscribe? It doesn't cost you anything, and it does help the channel out. And if you want to watch my videos early, you can become a YouTube member and do that. All right, let's do some depthsing. We are on the play. We have a Sylvan Scrying. We have a Once Upon a Time. So we can piece together a decent amount of things, but let's say this Once Upon a Time doesn't hit. We're going to be sort of drawing pretty cold. But we could also hit into an Elvish Reclaimer, which is a really big hit here as well. So I think we're going to try it. There's some different metrics to learn with this deck, and I would like to try it out. It may look quite similar to Turbo Depths on the face of it, but the way this deck will play out is going to be very different. Let's get my free Once Upon a Time off. Okay, so we have the Reclaimer, which I think is the best pick here. Now, we could just go straight for this Sylvan Scrying into Dark Depths, but I think we're better off just getting this Reclaimer down, because this finds us everything we need over an extended period of time. So I'm going to go and get us a basic here and deploy Elvish Reclaimer. Once upon a time, this was a card that pretty much needed to be answered, or it could just run away with the game, but sort of land strategies that leverage cards like this have fallen out of the meta a fair bit now, but we've slowed down since we had some banning, so maybe this will be good again. Let's find out. A defense grid. Alright, our opponent is quite likely to be playing something along the lines of Mystic Forge combo would be my guess. So I would like to jam this Pithing Needle. Or I'd really like to get this library down, but I don't think we can afford to do that just yet. We could just hold up the Boseiju, but that doesn't work against a bunch of our opponent's things. So I think the play here is Echoing Deeps as just a colourless land. And then hold back the Reclaimer. We can do this. We can Boseiju if our opponent gives us something we want to Boseiju away. We can't Boseiju the One Ring, but we can Boseiju the Mystic Forge. If they play the One Ring, hopefully they can't also tap it a bunch, because we can then untap and Pithing Needle. The plan is next turn is Pithing Needle plus Sylvan Library. This is the turn we fire off a Boseiju. That is the hope. Our opponent might be on something that makes this... Oh, Jeska's Will. Okay, we are doing something very different over here. I thought our opponent was on some sort of Mystic Forge deck, but it looks like they're on some kind of stormy build. So I can take out this Lion's Eye Diamond right now. like as soon as they put anything else on the stack, we can take out the Lion's Eye Diamond. They've got 2 cards in hand, they've got these 2 cards floating in exile. So I could take out this Lion's Eye Diamond right now, or I could save this for some kind of Bojuka Bog. We only get to do one of these 2 things. If this just cracks into an LED, sorry, into an Echo of Eons, that doesn't take us anywhere useful. So I think we let this go and we maybe try and snag something further on down the line. Like maybe they're playing the enchantment. This could just be a big Galvanic Relay. Nothing. And nothing, you say? That's interesting. So we could take out this Lion's Eye Diamond. What could we get with this that would actually help? We don't have Wastelands or anything. Ghost Quarter is kind of like a Wasteland. I think they probably have 1 basic though. So this Boseiju, take out the Lion's Eye Diamond, gives them 1 mana instead. This stops them having a discard outlet. I think I'm just going to work towards something else here. I think we probably want a Thespian stage. If our opponent couldn't go off then, that means they probably don't... Wow, look, we drew the Thespian stage straight away. So what do I think this deck is going to have that we could Pithing Needle? Maybe Ral... Or what's it called? I can't remember what his name... Monsoon Mage? I can't remember what the back half of that is called. I think that's probably where I'd go with this. It might be nothing though. Because we can't Pithing Needle this because it's a mana ability. So I'm going to deploy a Bayou so we can drop a Pithing Needle. They could have the One Ring in their deck. We could name the One Ring, or we could name the Ral. Oh, I don't know which one of these it is. I could obviously look up. Oh, Monsoon Mage, Storm Conduit. I think it's Storm Conduit. I think they might have the One Ring in their deck. I'm going to name the One Ring. It might be a swing and a miss here. And then we can just turn this into a Dark Depths and grow our Reclaimer. This way we also get to hold up the Boseiju if that's a thing that we decide is relevant. I don't know if our opponent's running the One Ring, but I've seen some of the Ad Nauseam Tendrils decks running the One Ring now. Just get rid of this Forest and get ourselves a Dark Depths. Maybe we're going to get there. We'll see. Legolas' quick reflexes. Sure. Do I need to do anything with this Reclaimer, or do I need to attack? Do I think they're going to be leveraging their life total? Probably not, looking at what they have in front of them. Jessica's will suggests they're very much into the blue-red. So I think we're just going to hold this up in case we need to stop a Past in Flames line or something with a Bojuka Bog to get another turn. But if they don't have anything, we just make the 2020 win. They're really all in on that Jessica's will, finding them more card draw or a payoff. A Lotus Petal, 1 spell or 1 card left in their hand. A gamble. So we're going to be spinning that there wheel. I don't think there's any way we can actually disrupt this. So we're going to get this Echo. We don't have a window ever there to exile it. Okay, our hand doesn't do anything. But we don't need it to do anything, really. It'd be nice to have like a Boseiju. Maybe that comes in handy. But our opponent's kind of free rolling off the top here. Let's see how many of these 7 cards they've just drawn off the top are going to be good for them. Jessica's will. Okay, so drawing cards. They have a Galvanic Relay. That's not good enough because getting loads and loads of cards for next turn doesn't matter when they don't have a next turn. 3 cards in hand that we have to fade here. We could just be looking at another Echo round. 2 cards in hand. So this looks like the Epic Gamble, which is a deck I haven't seen for a while, actually. There's quite a lot of Storm variants available in Legacy. This is one that was developed by Tony Scapone. Burning Wish. I'm going to crack this for black. Do we have a way to protect ourselves or gain life here? I don't believe so. So they're going to go and get themselves the Tendrils. They should have a Tendrils in the board. Yeah, Tendrils of Agony. I wasn't expecting them to just have Grape Shot, but we might as well let them show it to us. Okay, Storm. So we can make their stuff cost more. We can make it impossible for them to cast the Echo, which is like their main engine. We can shut off some stuff with the opposition agents. We can do some Abrupt Decay stuff, or some Vigor stuff, and maybe Endurance stuff. I don't think we have many good shouts for the Pithing Needle here, so I'm going to strip those ones out. I don't think we're going to need the Sejiri Steppe. We definitely don't need these Legolas quick reflexes. We probably don't need the Sejiri Steppe here. I don't think we need the Ghost Quarter either. We'll take those out. That does make our Mox Diamonds a little bit worse, but I think that's okay. So we can get 5 cuts here. What are we trying to do? We don't need the Talon gates. 4 more cuts. Maybe we ease off of something like a Sylvan Scrying. A Sylvan Library is an interesting one, but it's quite slow for what we're trying to accomplish here. So maybe we'll ease back on those as well. And we still got 25 lands. Do we just trim 1 Mox Diamond? We do need to go a little bit faster. If the Mox Diamond gives us the ability to have something like an opposition agent. I quite like the Sylvan. Do I like the Sylvan Scrying more than the Once Upon a Time here? No, because all the action is going to be condensed into the first little burst of turns. I don't think we have the space for these. Let's just trim one of these Mox Diamonds. We definitely don't want to draw 2 Mox Diamonds, because our lands probably won't be able to handle that. We just want some hand disruption. Okay, this hand looks good to me. We have Once Upon a Time into an Inquisition. Dark Depths, Echoing Deeps, Thespian Stage. I think it's probably the Thespian Stage here, because that at least creates mana and does stuff for us. I believe we're just going to get a Bayou here. Do we need to get Bayou? I think we should get Bayou. I don't believe our opponent's going to pivot to a Blood Moon plan. That would be very unusual for a deck like our opponent's. It's certainly catching people off guard, though. What do we have here? Echo of Eons, Burning Wish, Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, so we take the Lion's Eye Diamond here. That's a pretty easy one. So they can't spin the wheel yet. So they can have 2 mana on turn 1 if they use this Chrome Mox and the Shatterskull Smashing. So they'd have to imprint a Burning Wish or an Echo of Eons. Shatterskull Smashing, untapped. Chrome Mox. This shuts off crop rotation as a viable thing for us to be doing. Like in their turn at the very least, because they're playing the defense grid. A Disruptor Flute. We know they've got a Burning Wish. Do we make that Burning Wish cost more? Just going to get this Bayou. I think we do. Just shut that down. So if we draw another crop rotation, we can go next turn. Maybe we're supposed to get the Reclaimer down that turn instead. Doesn't feel the most mana efficient thing unless we Reclaimer and crop rotation in the same turn. But I don't know what we're crop rotation for, because if we find another crop rotation, then it might change things. It does change things. Okay, so we can go this turn. We can go get Urborg and Dark Depths here. We need to do it now if we want to do that, though, because we can't really interact on our opponent's turn. Right, let's go and get the Dark Depths here. Let's go and get the... do you want the Yavimaya here? It's probably the Yavimaya. Doesn't really matter which one, but we have more uses for green mana. Okay, so we have to cast our spells in our turn because of the defense grid, but now we're holding up a win, and our opponent has to go off this turn or face the might of Maritlage. This is a matchup where a regular Turbo Depths build would feel a little bit better, because that deck is slightly faster and it's all about getting things done quickly. But we are in an okay spot here. Right, it's our turn. I'd be very surprised if our opponent can do anything here underneath their own defense grid. Had a bit of a lag spike there. Hopefully it's not the bug comeback again that they fixed the other day. Alright, we just turn the guy sideways and lights out. Excellent. Do I want to change anything? I don't believe so. We're just going to go back in again. Grafdigger's Cage, a very handy card to have here. I'll keep this. Let's hope they don't turn 1 us. Alright, a Lotus Petal. So they might be playing these out so that we can't take them out of their hand with discard, or they might just be going this turn. The Epic Gamble tends to do quite a lot on turn 1 compared to other decks, because it's just trying to assemble LED Echo and just getting incremental advantage every time it goes through a loop until it has enough to kill you. A Galvanic Relay. Just a little relay. Monolith, Petal, Gamble, Void Snare. Interesting. The Void Snare is particularly annoying for us. Okay, so step 1 is cast a free spell. How much mana can we produce this turn? 1, 2. So we can't play the opposition agent yet. Does that mean we're supposed to just get the Urborg? We can take them off of Metalcraft, but then they can get Metalcraft back with what they have over there. And then they can gamble. Is there a way that we can stop them from void snaring our thing? I don't think there is. Okay, I'm just going to take this Urborg. I think gives us more lands to pitch to our stuff like our Mox Diamond. We'll play this Mox Diamond out. Kind of a tough call what we're getting rid of here. I think it's probably the Urborg. And then we deploy this Forest. So we kind of want our opponent to bounce something of ours this turn. So we'll deploy this. And I'm going to deploy this Grafdigger's Cage. Because if we hit this, they have the Lotus Petal to get themselves Metalcraft, and they have 3, 4, 5 mana. That turns into 6 mana. Gamble, Void Snare, and Echo is online then. Okay. We've got something going. Depending on what they have in their hand, they might not be able to empty their hand to make the gamble into an Entomb. So they might end up gambling and keeping the card in hand. Burgi. That's a pretty solid one. So they're going to generate a lot of mana here. Mana is definitely not the problem for them. We don't have anything here, so we can F6 through this turn. They're bouncing our Grafdigger's Cage, as expected. Now they're gambling. This is a 50-50 to keep what they gamble for. They gambled and discarded an Echo Beyonds. That might have been exactly what they wanted to happen. Alright, we're getting a new hand. We can't do anything with his hand, so F6ing continues. Lotus Petal. And the Grim Monolith from earlier, just playing out all their stuff. Do they have the payoff that's good enough? Certainly got all the mana in the world. A big Galvanic Relay. That does give us another turn, but I don't know what we're supposed to do with our extra turn if they're going to have a million cards. Right, Gamble, Grim Monolith, Rite of Flame, Simian Spirit Guide, Ancient Tomb, Mox Opal, Defense Grid, Galvanic Relay again, and Echoing Truth. It's fine. Oh, they got Burning Wish right now, and they can crack this LED for lethal. Alright, I've seen enough. That is the end of round 1. Let's go to round 2. Well, what does our opener do? We can't fire off this Thoughtseize turn 1, which is a little bit awkward. We can throw down a Pithing Needle on Wasteland, untap into Library. I think that's okay. Oh, our opponent faltered for. I've just seen who our opponent is. They are a known Oops All Speller. So this hand might not be any good. I'm expecting to find a black source off of this Sylvan Library. 4 cards. So Pithing Needle is going to go on Undercity Informer. Now they do play other decks, of course. So maybe we'll get got here, but we'll find out. I don't want to play the Yavimaya just yet. Just in case our opponent has need for green mana. Let's name the Undercity Informer and hope that does something. They could just play a Balustrade Spy and kill us. We might as well see the build they're on, but I'm going to scoop in a second anyway. What have you got for us? This looks like the list they've been jamming for a bit. Okay. Let's scoop that one up and go to the sideboard. What they do is they get all these Narcomoons back, they sacrifice them to Dread Return, bring back Vassal's Oracle, game ends. So, these cards are useful. These cards are useful. Force of Figures can have text. What do we not require here? This is not a Sejiri Steppe matchup. It's very much a Bojuka Bog matchup. We don't need Talon Gates either. Alright. Hand Disruption, very good here. Elvish Reclaimer type stuff, very good. We do not require Legolas' Quick Reflexes. And this is a pretty round 60. Is there anything I would like to change to get some opposition agent going? Not really. Or Force of Vigor. No, I like the fact that we can once upon a time for the Endurances. Alright, we're going to keep it like this. Our opponent wasn't running the build that really cares about that sort of stuff. Okay. I'll keep this. So, there's an argument to Thoughtseize first here. So they can't win through a Grafdigger's Cage. But, if they have an answer to Grafdigger's Cage, like a Force of Vigor, we can pick that up first with a Thoughtseize if we need to. But if we Thoughteize them, we probably have to stop them from winning. So it's an interesting one, this. If we Thoughtseize first, then we can play Reclaimer and Cage on 2. But then our opponent might be able to get us. This is a really tough call here. There's definitely arguments for any of these 3 cards to hit play. I think it should be one of these 2 that have an immediate impact on the game. 6 cards. So I think I can stop my opponent for 1 turn this way. Or am I just going to be a coward and play this Cage? I think I'm going to Thoughtseize. Okay, so our opponent has Balustrade Spy, Boggart Trawler, Fellow Profane, Lotus Petal. Okay, so they can do a fair bit here. They're going to Thoughtseize us back, which isn't great for us. We could take the Thoughtseize, so I kind of wish we played the Cage right now. We take the Thoughtseize though, because we have it covered with the Endurance. This should tell our opponent they shouldn't go this turn. The Endurance can cover that. They would have to find exactly Dark Ritual. Felmire. Tapped. I would love to draw a green card here. Did not draw a green card. Am I playing this Reclaimer out or am I holding up the Endurance? We know they don't have an answer for this Cage right now, so I think we're supposed to play the... so next turn we can play this. We can't roll that anyway. I think we're playing out the Thespian stage here. And the plan is get a Cage in stage, and get the Reclaimer in. So once we untap, we have Bojuka Bog available, and we have instant speed Endurance, and then we can just work towards our combo. Alright, our opponent sees the writing on the wall and picks it up. Okay, we just need to do that again, but on the draw. Does this mean we want Force of Vigors? Because it is a thing that does something on turn 0. Maybe we just trim a couple of Hexmages just for these. Because what we can do is we can blow something up like a Chromox in response to the trigger. So maybe that can deny them the mana, give us a turn, let us drop the Cage or whatever. Like this is a very skewed game where we try not to lose the game. We're not really about winning the game here. We cannot keep this one if our opponent keeps a 7. Okay, they've gone to 6. I still don't think we get to keep this one. This is a turn 1 ability to fetch Bojuka Bog. Is that good enough? Or do we need to find... How many hits have we got? So, turn 0 stuff, we only have 4 cards. But we have the Cage, which is really strong. This is a really tough call if I keep this one. I think we can find hands that look a lot like this anyway. Not this one. Opponent's gone to 5. Okay, so this is very similar to a previous hand we had. Let's get rid of this. So we have Crop Rotations, Thoughtseizes, Force of Vigor. We need to put 1 card back. It's probably going to be this Ghost Quarter, I think. Or do we want that for the lands? Right, I think we'll put back the Ghost Quarter here. We're in try not to lose the game territory. I think the Oopsal Spells deck is very, very powerful, but the floor and the ceiling of this deck are further apart than any other deck in the format. There's a Lotus Petal. That's not one we get to blow up with the Force of Vigor unless our opponent passes the turn here. Oh, they are passing turn. Let's blow those up. Alright, our opponent's just scooping up to that. Alright, I'll take that. Let's go to round 3. Alright, I can play with this hand. We've got Thoughtseize, we've got the Hexmage plus Crop Rotation plan. A Nethergoyf, just a little guy. Just an innocent little guy. Am I playing out the Urborg here? Okay, first we're playing this Once Upon a Time. Our opponent could daze this. Okay, I quite like having the Reclaimer here, but the Depths is also pretty interesting. I'll take this Depths. So, how am I going to work this turn out? I think we're going to go Urborg. I'm going to play this Mox Diamond. I'm going to pitch this Swamp. We're exposing ourselves a little bit here. But the plan here is we Thoughtseize, and then we have access to Crop Rotation if they do have a Wasteland. We can hopefully make sure that resolves by taking a chunk out of their hand. We don't care about the clock of the Nethergoyf if it doesn't do enough. Alright, we are lagging a little bit again. Brainstorm, Daze, Fatal Push. I'm going to take this Daze, I think. That's one of the more irritating cards here. It's either that or the Brainstorm. But if they draw a Wasteland, I want to be able to resolve my crop rotation, so I'm going to take the Daze. It does mean they get a nice Brainstorm off next turn, which could change everything. But we're trying to beat Wasteland here. Like, we could always take the Brainstorm so that they can't Wasteland us, because they won't have the Wasteland. That's a tight call on those ones. We're playing around the worst case scenario where they Brainstorm into Wasteland. I guess they could Brainstorm into Wasteland and Daze. Maybe we should have taken the Brainstorm. I don't know, it's an interesting choice there. A Bloodstained Mire. We don't know what they put back. They probably would have put back a Fatal Push in this situation, but we'll see. What have you got? They're going to Thoughtseize us. They're just going to play another Nethergoyf, aren't they? Scrap for 2. There's the other Nethergoyf. Let's play this. Let's try and get a Hexmage on the go. Did you draw into Counter Magic? They did not. Okay, we will do this now and we'll protect it. This is protected from Wastelands, and then we have the crop rotation for Sejiri Steppe if they have anything else. This is the best way we can play around a multitude of things. If they have Counter Magic plus Brazen Borrower, we lose. But those are the margins we play when we're playing Depths. They conceded. Excellent. These sorts of Dimir tempo decks tend to be pretty good news for us as a general rule. So what would I like in this matchup? So they might have things like Shoulder's Edict, which is not something we get to Legolas as quick reflexes. So I'm not a big lover of trying that one. Disruptor Flute for Wasteland is something I would like access to here. I don't think we need the Bojuka Bogs. We could board in like a couple of fair creatures like these Barrowgoyfs, and that might be doing quite a lot of work. Our opponent probably has some amount of Barrowgoyfs themselves. Endurance as a fair creature that can shred some of their annoying permanents is also fine. Abrupt Decay is also fine. Opposition Agent, probably not where I want to be. So I want some combination of these 7 cards. How would I go about fitting them in? Talon Gates looks usable here. Sejiri Steppe is also fine. So probably not trimming on there. The Reflexes is going to be good against Borrower. I don't know if this is a game where we're trying to pivot. We're inherently pretty good against these tempo decks anyway. Or at least, at least Turbo Depths is. This, I'm using the same sort of metrics to try and work this one out. So we probably need the Abrupt Decays because they're going to have Harbinger of the Seas. That's probably the thing we need to consider. If we're boarding in 4 non-creatures, maybe we're boarding out the 3 Once Upon a Time. This game isn't one where we need to get something going straight away. We're going to have time in this one. So something like a Sylvan Library is going to be a thing we get to leverage over multiple turns. Alright. Elvish Reclaimer is like a must-answer creature for our opponent, so I'm going to keep this one. We can play on a basic here. That is an Underground Sea and a Tamiyo. Sure. Is it more important to me to get our Reclaimer up and running, or is it more important to get this Inquisition of Kozilek down? I think just getting a forest here is the better play. And just playing one of these Reclaimers. We have 2 of them. Let's try and leverage them. This is worthy of a Daze, possibly even a Force of Will. This is a sort of matchup where if they don't answer it, we're going to have the time to leverage this. And it does some pretty gross things over an extended period of time. Now, this is a 1-card kill. Because you can go and get the other... You can get both combo pieces with it. Okay, so we got a 2 for 1. A little 1-mana Hymn to Turak. Don't mind that. Especially since we can follow it up next turn with pretty much the same thing. Right, Tamiyo is attacking. If they flip this, we just have a clean answer for it in our hand. We just need to not get Wastelanded off of this Urborg. Our opponent may be incentivized to keep their Wastelands for our Dark Depths combo. Especially if they saw a land off the top. They did not see a land off the top. Okay, let's play this. I will Inquisition of Kozilek my opponent first. Don't show me Wastelands, please. They could Brainstorm and hide cards here. Harbinger of the Seas, get out. They do have a Wasteland as well. So am I just going to play this Reclaimer out? Or am I going to crop rotate to protect myself from the Wasteland that they have? Because if we play the Reclaimer and don't draw another land, that goes really poorly for us. I think we have to hold up this crop rotation so we don't get Wastelanded off the Urborg, which is annoying. And a crack in the clue. Hopefully they're not finding counter magic to protect their wasteland activating. I don't want to interact with our Urborg if we can help it. If they don't play a wasteland, then we can just go and get the Dark Depths and really send it. Under City Sewers. There is the wasteland. Not going for it. Please can we draw a mana source? Okay. Don't mind that. Let's play a Hexmage. You don't want a wasteland here, opponent. Alright, so what we're going to do next turn is play a second Hexmage. And that overrides what they're doing with their wasteland here. We can go and get Ghost Quarter and just take out their wasteland that way. But we have this Hexmage in hand already. We might as well save this as protection. Dismember. Okay. So we got a good grasp of what our opponent has. Are they going to try and wasteland us? Who knows? Once again, we are suffering a little bit of lag here. Opponent just passing a turn. Maybe not. Well, they're going to attack first. But they didn't play anything in their first main phase. That doesn't mean they're passing a turn, to be fair. They could have some second main phase action. We haven't seen a land drop yet. There's a Polluted Delta. That's all the cards we know. What would you like to do here, opponent? Cracking clues. I'm okay with you cracking clues. Right, they're getting probably a basic island off this Polluted Delta. Nope, just Underground Sea. No fear. Also, they've got the Harbinger. I'd have thought they wanted to have a swamp unless they're only playing one of them. A Murktide Regent. Sure. One card left in our opponent's hand. I think we can beat what they are putting down over there. So we have a choice. We can try and crop rotate to get a Ghost Quarter. But that takes us shields down. But do we have the time to care about being shields down? Uncertain. Let's see what they do with their turn. They might be feeling quite comfortable with the wasteland just sat there and a bunch of clues. A Ponder. This is probably our moment to go, isn't it? I think we're going to get rid of our black source. The days here is obviously very good. We're not beating Brazen Borrower. We're under pressure here. They're going to crack a clue. They are going to crack a clue. We got them scared. We got them scared. Love it. Come on. Let's have our crop rotation. Okay, where is that Ghost Quarter? Let's fire this. They won't have any Stifle action up. They won't have enough mana to Brazen Borrower now either. So then we combo over the top. Beautiful stuff. Not sure what they're going to find with this Ponder. They would have to have like a land and then a 1 mana bounce spell. They could play a Tamiyo, which can chump block for a turn, and maybe find them some more answers down the stretch. They could... They're going to flip this Tamiyo and minus our creature, but that doesn't matter. They can't buy anything back yet. Not that they have anything good to buy back. If we draw a black source, we do just get to take out any blocker they could play here. Alright. Our creature will only be a 19 power creature when it attacks. We can get blown out by like Void Snare or something. It's just going to be a Tamiyo, isn't it? It's a Thoughtseize. Okay, they're just getting some more information. Just seeing what we're up to. And then dying. Alright. That is the match. Pretty nice. Let's go to round 4. Okay. Well, we've got the 1 card package that finds us everything we need. So I'm going to keep this one. I guess we get basic forest just so we can't get wasted. And we also don't want to support whatever our opponent's doing. Maybe the Yavimaya helps them. I've certainly lost a game from playing Yavimaya before. Or an Urborg. Let's go and get this forest. Down the Reclaimer. Our opponent's on a 61 card deck, which might mean Oops or Spells or some sort of green-white depth style deck. Alright, Cavern of Souls. We're going to find out what they are very quickly here. Merfolk. Is this a Doomsday list with a spicy one? No, we're just full on Merfolk. It's been a hot minute. Okay, what do I want here? I would like to name this. I think we're going to. But they can't daze this. No, we're going to play out another Reclaimer here. Okay, they're just off it, aren't they? I guess we'll play out this Urborg. Cast this Pithing Needle. Ether Vial. I don't think Ether Vial is good enough for Legacy these days. I know Death and Taxes kind of has it embedded in it, but Death and Taxes isn't doing amazing right now. I just think the card itself has seen better days. Alright, we're definitely in the Merfolk ballpark here. It could be some sort of weird hybrid combo deck maybe with Paradigm Shift. Feels like a lot of the fair decks have to now have a combo plan in them given the power of Legacy. So like the main control deck in the format is like the Nadu Zenith deck. Tide Shaper. Are we going to lose our Urborg? We are. It's now an island. If only we had some sort of way of turning it into the thing we wanted. An Underground Mortuary. I think that's okay here. I guess we don't want to play this. We want to tutor first. So that means we're probably playing this Yavimaya. And then we're just going to hold it up. So this is an island forest. So the plan here is we can crop rotate and Talon, and sorry, not Talon Gates, and Reclaimer and get towards where we need to be. So if we didn't slow down this Ether Vial, this would be the turn where they start dumping out 2 Lords a turn, and all of a sudden we can get overwhelmed by a pretty impressive display of damage. It doesn't look like what's happening though. I'm not sure they're going to have many main deck answers for a Pithing Needle. There's probably some sort of Merfolk that does some amount of bouncy stuff. Silvergill Adept. Revealing another Silvergill Adept. You got it. I don't want to crop rotate until the last moment, ideally. Because I don't want our opponent to know they're dead. Because it might change the creatures they play. Another Ether Vial. They might have that 2 mana one that puts a stun counter on it. I've certainly been beaten by that before. When you play enough Legacy, you get beaten by just about everything at some point. I don't think they attack here. Because then we could do this and then crop rotate. They must have Harbinger of the Seas in here. That would make sense as to why you would want to play Merfolk, because you get to play a really powerful Merfolk. But we can easily put 3 lands in the graveyard here. Thespian stage. We can get a block. It's only a 1/1 now. Just gobble that right up. Turn this into a delicious little Dark Depths. An Urborg. Don't mind having access to that one. Okay, opponent. I don't know if they're running Wastelands. I don't know if that's a thing that they still run. I don't know if it's a thing we're supposed to play around. I know that they're going to have the Merfolk that taps our guy down. I don't think they can even run Wastelands. They maybe have some, but it certainly feels awkward. It's like Ninja decks don't run Wastelands really anymore, and I think they're better for it. Maybe Merfolk should be taking a leaf out of that book and just dumping a bunch of guys in. Because they've also got Mutavaults as well, so they'd have to eat into their spell slots to play Wasteland. But we could beat that anyway. We've got some tools available. So we can crop rotate into a Ghost Quarter, and if they try and wasteland anything, we can just crop rotate into another copy of itself. And then untap, have the wasteland covered by the Ghost Quarter. I guess the best case scenario for them now would be something like play Wasteland and play Harbinger of the Seas. Because the Wasteland doesn't work underneath it, but they don't care about that because they get to have the Wasteland up as well. We're just going to see a Lord here, or is it going to be the other Silvergill Adept that we saw earlier? It's a Silvergill Adept with different art to the previous one. Vidalian Hexcatcher. That's the one that pumps guys and has flash and makes spells. It can force spike non-creature spells. Okay. 1 blue mana up. What can they do for 1 blue mana? I suspect not much. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's put it to the test. The Pithing Needle shutting down these vials obviously gives us a lot more freedom. If we untap, then we have Sejiri Steppe. If they have an answer, they should fire it off now. They did not have an answer. Okay, so we know they've got Harbinger of Ties. Let's get some of these in. I don't mind the Disruptor Flute just to stop the Wasteland or the Ether Vial. We don't know if they're running Wastelands, but maybe they are. We do not require Bojuka Bog for this matchup. I don't mind having the Ghost Core and the Sejiri Steppe though. The Echoing Deeps can be a second copy of Sejiri Steppe, so I don't mind keeping that in, or a second copy of the Talon Gates. So we're boarding in these. I think we're going to board out some Once Upon a Times, because we're boarding in stuff that Once Upon a Time doesn't hit. That seems reasonable to me. There's an argument for bringing something like a Force of Vigor here. I don't know how much bounce they're going to have, so we're going to keep a few little quick reflexes in. These can also just be removal or allow us to untap our Reclaimer and get multiple lands at a turn and mess our opponent up. This is not a hand that I have any intention of keeping. One spell. If one of these lands was Dark Depths, then maybe we could talk, because we'd have Thoughtseize into turn 3, 2020, but I don't want to keep this one. Interesting. I like the Inquisition here. We're going to need to find something. I think I'm going to go to 5. So this plays around Harbinger. So we could throw back Needle. Is it Needle Needle? I think it's Needle Needle here. So we have access to half of our combo if we want it. We also have access to 1 mana of any colour and a basic of any type. So we can play an Abrupt Decay if we end up in a situation where we need it. Okay, wish we'd kept the Needle, but I don't think we could with this particular hand. Oh yes. This is what I am talking about. Play this. Play Mox Diamond. Does our opponent have counter magic? Let's find out. This Sylvan Library is pretty big news. And we get to Thoughtseize our opponent before they get to 3 mana. Okay, we're going to draw some cards. Our life total is definitely a resource our opponent is trying to minimize for us. So we can't just immediately draw 2 extra cards, although you know I want to do that. Quite often when I play the first Sylvan Library, I just draw a bunch of cards. Obviously, you know, the heuristics of whatever's happening in the game will change that. But I like to just get ahead with the cards, if possible. A Wasteland on our Yavimaya could be annoying. And it is. Alright, we're definitely looking at trying to Sylvan Library our way out here. Okay, we're just going to pay the life here. So we could Thoughtseize. I think we need to do that. Our opponent doesn't have many cards in hand, and this is about to start doing some stuff. Master of the Pearl Trident, Master of the Pearl Trident, Harbinger of the Seas. I think we have to take the Harbinger here. We have a 2020 in the near future. All we need to do, if we draw an Urborg, then we're golden. If we draw a Dark Depths, we're also golden, because we can tutor for the Urborg. We've got 3 cards coming off the Sylvan Library, so I'm pretty happy about that. Alright, we knew they drew an island, so they get to cast both Lords this turn. I assume they're going to dump them both into play. So this is definitely going to pressure our life total in a pretty meaningful fashion. Okay, we drew the Urborg. That is the best draw. Or one of the best draws. We had a selection of good draws here. Okay, we'll put this on top. I don't really want to take 8 next turn. Hopefully we'll put these on top in the right order and the lag won't mess us up, but we'll see. I guess it doesn't matter if we're going to be crop rotating anyway. Let's play Hexmage. We've seen Wastelands now, so we know what we're doing. Am I getting rid of this stage? I think it's probably... At stage, you've got mana from here. We're unlikely to be able to mount a comeback anyway, if this doesn't work. So we're just going to go and get our Dark Depths now. We're going to do this now before our opponent has access to a Wasteland. We know the card in their hand is another one of these guys. So they have 1 draw step. They might have something like a Silvergill Adept, I believe it's called, the one that lets them cantrips. They might be able to have 1 additional draw here. They don't play Brainstorms to dig or anything like that. They're just playing lads. Just scaly little fish boys. Right, what are you going to do with your Itivar? If they've got the guy that taps our guy, that's obviously going to suck for us. But they have to draw it. They don't have any manipulation, really. We got you or not? You can see a good old-fashioned Echoing Truth. I don't see one of those. Well, actually, we saw one in round 1. Once upon a time, we used to see a lot of Echoing Truths in Legacy, just in blue decks. How the times have changed. Right, I'll gobble up one of these fishes. What is this? Is this the bouncy guy? They got a bouncy guy. Don't have a bouncy guy. Mero Regery. That is not a bouncy guy. Right, our opponent has no cards in hand. We have a 2020 flyer, and that is the match. Okay, we are cruising. We are 4 rounds in, and we are already locked in with a positive record. We might be able to put a nice 4-1 on the board. Let's see if we can do exactly that. Welcome to the final round. We've got Elvish Reclaimer on turn 1. That's about the best we can do, so we'll keep that. Also playing off of basic. We have a lot of our toolboxy lands in our hand with the Sejiri Steppe and the Bojuka Bog. So this is where having the Echoing Deeps will really shine. Let's see what flavour of Mistress Bauble deck our opponent is on. They're either on something fair, like a Delver, where they're using this for Delirium, or something unfair, where they're using this to draw extra cards and play zero-cost spells. Looks like we're on some sort of Dimir-esque tempo. We did alright into that earlier, so let's see if we can replicate those results. I'm going to deploy this Reclaimer. The sooner we get it down, the better. Okay, we got a Force of Will over there. So what I want to be able to do is Thoughtseize and Crop Rotate in the same turn cycle, so that we know the coast is clear and our crop rotations will resolve. Which is something we can work towards. We can also shred their graveyard in a little bit with this Bojuka Bog, slow down their clock. And Undercity Sewers. Let's see if they mill over to try and grow their Nethergoyf. We also want to watch the timing of when we play the Bojuka Bog, so that we can take out more cards to stop Murktide Regent from coming down. Because it's just like a Curd Ape at the moment, it's not really a problem. Okay, they've got Delver as well. The damage is starting to mount up over there. I think this is an Urborg plus Thoughtseize turn. Take this Brainstorm. In case I have a Wasteland, I'm not going to fire this crop rotation. But the plan is next turn we can crop rotate away our Urborg and then crop rotate. I guess we don't have the second green, so we have to crop rotate in our opponent's end step here. Okay, there's a Wasteland. They're going to fire this off. They are. Beautiful. So we probably want to go and get ourselves the Thespian stage here. Makes sense. And then next turn we can deploy this Urborg and then we can crop rotate this forest into a Dark Depths and we're good to go. We'll take 4, not on a huge amount of damage. They are just drawing off the top here as well. Let's just go and do the thing now so we can dodge a Wasteland from our opponent. We know the last card in our opponent's hand, so there's not anything going to be interfering with us right now. Make sure we keep the correct one here. I have clicked the wrong one once before. That was very embarrassing. Okay. So we're trying to dodge them drawing a Cantrip or the Brazen Borrower. They might have a Shoulder's Edict. We don't know. We get to see what they draw off of this Delver. It's a Brainstorm. Okay, that's 3 looks at what they need. So they might leave the Delver back to block, and then we have that covered with the Sejiri Steppe. If they find the Borrower, then we're in trouble. A Gnarl Spellbomb. Okay, no Borrower. So they're going to leave back this and set to Aberration to block. We're going to play the Sejiri Steppe, get Pro Blue, and that is the end of the game. There we go. Sejiri Steppe, and our opponent concedes. To the sideboard. What would we like here? Disruptor Flute for Wastelands is a given. Our opponent probably has some amount of Harbinger of the Seas, so we probably want these. There is an argument for Endurances here. It's just like a fairish mid-range thing to do that is okay. What do we not really need here? I don't think we need the Bojuka Bog. Our opponent does have graveyard synergies, but not to the point where we're going to be spending a whole crop rotation to get this, I don't think. Talon Gates is fine, helps us push through for damage. Boseiju and Ghost Quarter deal with opposing Wastelands. Again, if we're boarding in these 4 cards, we're probably boarding out the Once Upon a Times again, which is something we've been doing quite a lot today. I don't think we have the space for the Endurances. We don't really need to pivot here because our game plan is just good against what our opponent's doing. So yeah, I think we're just going to submit like this. Interesting. I think we lead off on Dark Depths because we don't mind if it gets wasted here because we have 2. And if we draw an Urborg, maybe we go earlier. I think I will keep this. The power of Sylvan Library compels me. And there's a lot of draws we can have that really kick this up a notch. Delver of Secrets. Not a bad start for our opponent. That does put us under some amount of pressure, and they can flip it more likely with this Bauble. They target themselves in our turn. So they see the top card, they choose where they want to draw it, or reveal it to Delver first. So they get sort of 2 bites of the cherry there. Okay, Dark Depths. Now, if they boarded in Surgical Extraction, then they can Wasteland this and extract it, and that would be very good. But you don't really see Extraction out of these decks. And it's not really a card you want against Dark Depths. There are very niche situations where it comes up and can steal your game. If you feel your matchup is so bad that you need to do that, then sure. I don't think their matchup is so bad they need to do that. It is favoured for us. But I don't think it's favoured to the point where they need to grab some Hail Marys. Alright, they did not flip the Delver. So this could mean they've drawn like a Wasteland. There it is. Yep, so this is the actual play we wanted to happen, weirdly. Maybe we could find a 1-drop in green to play with our Yavimaya would be nice. It does expose our Yavimaya, but I think that's alright at the end of the day. Alright, another Yavimaya. Okay, I'll play this one out, because this is now the land we care about getting wastelanded least, because we have 2 of them and they're legendary. Just also makes our opponent consider things like crop rotation. A fatal push, sure. The Elvish Reclaimer not looking so hot right now. So we'll just take a jab for 3. Another Dark Depths. Okay, I guess I'm going to play out this, and I'm going to play the library out first. This is into a daze, because this guarantees us a 20/20. This does not, so this is the bait spell. If this resolves, it's also still great for us, because Sylvan Library is quite the Magic the Gathering card. I wonder if we're going to get paper printing with the enchantment border at some point. It's quite cool. Alright, so there is the daze. We flushed out the interaction. Are they going to go get Surveil Land at end step? Probably. Then next turn we are also live for just drawing a Thespian stage. But we can play Ghost Quarter, and then we can Sylvan Scrying around a daze. They might still have a force because they only had to use a daze to stop that spell, but they might have additional counter magic, we don't know. Thoughtseize, that's a very good hit here. They're going to take our Sylvan Scrying. But we can draw an Urborg here. We can draw a Mox Diamond also does it. Because we can Ghost Quarter our own Yavimaya. We've only got 2 cards left in hand. But if they've got a Borrower or a Shoulder's Edict or something, then yeah, we're going to have a bit of a rough time. Mox Diamond, okay. So we'll play this one out. So I think we are... I don't really want to go off of green mana, which means we're probably discarding the Dark Depths, which means it's going to be harder to combo again. It's not really what this game is about though, is it? Let's float some mana. Just play around some permission. Ghost Quarter our own land. Oh wow, our opponent just giving us the GGs there. Okay, do they know what the top card of their library was? I don't think they knew what the top card of their library was. So they had a chance to draw into the Borrower. Maybe they didn't have anything like that. I don't know. Alright, so we got the match, and that's a nice 4-1 on the league. We only lost to the Storm deck, and it was a 1-2 loss. Alright, so let's talk about the list. So, obviously, when we're doing Dark Depths, Hexmage stuff, I'm very much in my element. This is obviously a different build, so there's some slightly different metrics going on, and we're not keeping hands that go off as quickly, which is going to come back to bite us in certain matchups. For example, the combo matchup where we lost. Because we're a bit slower there, we don't have the interaction to make up for being slower. Like, the Elvish Reclaimer is obviously very good and does a lot of cool stuff and is just a 1-card combo, basically. It does eventually win us the game, so that's a nice piece of inevitability that we get to add, but it does slow down our overall game plan. The library, when we did get that down, was pretty good. So, the list felt pretty solid. We didn't use any Legolas' quick reflexes. There were definitely times when we were comboing off where even if we had the Legolas' quick reflexes, we wouldn't have been able to use it because we didn't have enough mana to do that, which is certainly my concern with cards like this and why I like Not of This World in the sort of leaner, faster build. But like I said, we have more time here, and this does have some interesting interactions with Elvish Reclaimer in the sort of mid to late game when we have a lot of mana and we can crack this multiple times, killing their creatures, protecting our creature, and doing quite a lot. So in order to fill this stuff in, we are going lower on Pithing Needle, but again, Elvish Reclaimer is kind of like Wasteland Protection, because whilst this is up, your opponent can't really Wasteland you profitably. You can kind of just sort of snowball out a little bit there. The Mox Diamond as a repeatable coloured mana, even if you're under a Blood Moon, is quite handy because it allows us to cast things like Abrupt Decay. We didn't play against any of our Blood Moon decks. That's something to consider. So I think it's important to talk about where this deck differs in terms of its matchup spread. So against some of the combo decks where we need to go fast, we're obviously going to be a little bit slower. So we're not going to be able to race any combo decks where, when we're playing turbo decks, we do get to race, because sometimes we can do turn 1 Marit Lage, but on average, we're about a turn 2 Marit Lage sort of deck, I would say, most of the time. It's probably like 2.4 or something if you want to break it down with the current build that I've been playing. Whereas this is definitely going to be slower doing that, but we do get more stability. So we have a little bit more in our land toolbox. You know, we've got this Talon gates, we've also got a Underground Mortuary and stuff, so we're set up to play a slightly longer game there. We have a little bit less on the needle front, because we're not trying to just go absolutely hammer and tongs at it and just make our guy, we're trying to find ourselves a nice spot and control the board a little bit in terms of what we can do with Reclaimer by like phasing out some guys, taxing their graveyard or whatever. But there's going to be decks where our tools in the lands don't actually make a difference, and we just need to go towards what we're trying to accomplish. But the Reclaimer being a lightning rod for Swords to Plowshares is quite nice too. And Sylvan Library is obviously a house. We used to play this in like the more traditional Turbo Depths builds a long time ago. That was when the format was slower and we don't get to leverage the cards as much. But the fact is, Mox Diamond, meaning that we don't have to give up mana to play something like a Sylvan Library in this particular build, is why it looks pretty good to me. But yeah, I think the list is fine. Obviously, I prefer the regular Turbo Depths build. That's a build that I've been working on for a long time. I have a lot of experience with it. I know the matchups ins and out pretty well with that one. And I like the ability to be able to race things a bit better, which is what that deck gives us access to. This kind of feels... it's sort of somewhere between Turbo Depths and Green White Depths. So it's not as slow or as inevitable as Green White Depths. We don't have as many like creature tutors. We don't have the Knight of the Reliquary stuff going on. We can go relatively fast. You know, we have turn 3 kills, or well turn 3 Marit Lages. We can do turn 3 kills using Mox Diamonds, I suppose. But generally, we're trying to kill our opponent around the sort of turn 4 or 5 mark, which is quite slow by Legacy standards. But we're giving up less to do it because Reclaimer, if they don't counter it and they don't kill it, then we just get these tutors that just work outside of something weird like a Stifle, which you don't see that much these days anyway. I just worry that our ability to play a long game isn't always going to be great if we're under pressure, because we don't really interact with our opponent's pressure that much. Now, that's why the sideboard here looks quite different to like regular Turbo Depths, because we got some removal here that we would normally have, but then we've also got these other bodies that we can do things with. So Barrowgoyf can certainly tip some races. If our opponent doesn't have removal for our stuff because they're like, well, there's no point having all these removal spells in when we're just trying to deal with the 2020 because they might not have seen the Reclaimer, then Barrowgoyf becomes pretty good for that. And Endurance is just a fine creature that can Stonewall Delvers, but Delver isn't really a problem with these sort of green-black depth strategies anyway. So yeah, I like this deck. It's fun. It makes Marit Lage, makes me happy. I don't think I'm going to be rushing out to buy Mox Diamonds, not that I can afford them anyway. I used to have some. I think I bought them for about £20 once upon a time. Times have changed a lot since then. So, yeah, this one is definitely an interesting take on it. I think you could go a little bit bigger if you wanted to. Or you could go a bit smaller and play like regular Turbo Depths, but it's obviously something that the deck creator has spent a lot of time working on, and they enjoy the numbers on it, and they have a pretty good time with it. I think we're probably a little bit colder to some things like Brazen Borrower. Yes, we do have the quick reflexes, but we are slower, which means our opponent is always going to have the mana to pop off. Whereas with Turbo Depths, you get to get in underneath sometimes, and they go, okay, so they've cast a spell on this turn. Okay, they won't be able to deal with this Marit Lage right now because they won't have 2 mana up. And we don't get to like sort of jump our opponent that way. So there's definitely trade-offs. What I do like is Grafdigger's Cage. I'm currently testing a Turbo Depths build with Grafdigger's Cage in the sideboard as Graveyard Hate. I think this is probably one of the best pieces of Graveyard Hate you can play right now, because not only does it stop Oops All Spells and Reanimator quite effectively as early as turn 1, it also manages to do a pretty good number on these Nadu decks, whether they're running Zenith or they're running Chord. So that's 2/3 of the Nadu decks. So yeah, a lot to like about this list. Certainly a lot less budget-friendly with the old Mox Diamonds, but I hope you enjoyed seeing something a little bit different in the Turbo Depths ballpark. Maybe at some point I can play a green-black but bigger build that sort of goes even longer and has more of a sort of green-white depths feel to it, but within the green-black card pool where we get access to hand disruption, which I think is really important in the meta right now, and is one of the reasons why these sorts of turbo decks are actually decent right now compared to land strategies which don't feel very good right now. We need to have the interaction versus combo, and that's what this list provides. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and thank you for Pastrata for not only supporting the channel, but sending me a cool deck list to play. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 5k subscribers for April. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbo Depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbo Depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.